is about the global supply chain management and influence of agencies. In this chapter, we will discuss the introduction to the global supply chain management and the agencies. Then we will discuss the challenges and importance of supply chain management models, impact of Warehousing Corporation Act on logistics in India. Then we will discuss the acts regulating the logistics in India. Then role of intermediaries in logistics and supply chain management. Last, we will discuss the key recent initiatives of Government of India. So after completion of this chapter, you will be able to learn all of this. So before going to the introduction part, let us know the agencies or sourcing agents. What is its importance? As you know, customers are investing most of their valuable time in assessing the products like smartphones, laptops, etc. with the support of internet and other upcoming technologies. Friends, you know, sourcing agents or agencies, it serves as a bridge in the global supply chain, connecting the buyers with the suppliers. This is just as a bridge. They offer services that provide the companies with significant cost and time savings while maintaining the highest level of quality and meeting the regulatory requirements. And as we know, utilizing their expertise, the expertise of agencies or agents, understanding the local markets and extensive network of the vendors, suppliers, the sourcing agents enable the organizations to navigate the intricacies of the global supply chains and achieve their sourcing objectives. So in a nutshell, we can say in an interconnected global marketplace, sourcing agents will remain vital to the trade and business success. So this clearly signifies that the taste and preference of the customers are changing with the passage of time. Everybody will know that. Moreover, customers are present across the globe and organizations are trying to their level best to satisfy their target customers in a new ways. In different ways, all the organizations are trying to satisfy their target customer. So in the global supply chain management, organizations on one hand take care of the cost effectiveness and on the other hand, customers' responsiveness plays its key role. Friends, already in first unit, we have discussed the conceptual framework of the global supply chain management. So we can say globalization is a two-edged sword. It has two edges. What are they? In that it provides opportunities to enhance the profits through cost reduction and maximizing the comparative advantage. But it also intensifies the competition. It has so many benefits and also a lot of precautions we have to take. Otherwise, it will be also creates problem to all the organizations. So global supply chain management, we can say it is giving so many benefits as well as also creates so many alarms or warning to the organizations also. Then comes to the challenges and importance of supply chain management. As we know, every sector, every strategy, every theories, there are some challenges and some opportunities are there. So now let us know what are the different challenges and importance of supply chain management. There are so many challenges are there. very important challenges and importance, let us discuss. One is supply chain visibility. The number one challenge and importance is supply chain visibility. As we know, one of the important challenges which global organizations are facing nowadays, as the companies are relying more on extended supply chain partners and suppliers, this is having a closer impact on their business operations. So visibility is one of the important challenges. Next is supply chain alignment. What is that? Supply chain alignment. Global supply chain organizations generally fail to realize that they themselves are also a part of the bigger supply chain network, because you know it has a lot of network, it has a big network. So organizations have to pay due diligence towards the inbound and outbound suppliers and partners. If there will be not a proper alignment among them between the inbound and outbound suppliers, then also it will create some problem for the organizations. So supply chain alignment, it is also another challenges and importance. Number 3 is cost of product. Cost of product, you know, the cost part also plays an important role. The important challenge which the global supply chain organizations are facing is the gradual increase of raw material cost in the entire supply chain. It is gradually increasing. So many raw materials cost is gradually increasing. If the raw material cost will gradually increase, then how the cost of production or the cost of the product will be controlled? So it is a very great challenge nowadays. The companies are continuously extending their suppliers and partners network for low cost material across the globe. It is a very important task for all the supply chain managers and the global supply chain agencies how to reduce the cost. When it will be possible? If the raw material cost will be less. And nowadays, you know, day by day it is increasing. It depends upon the different agencies, the raw material providers or suppliers. So if we have a great network, we have that much of control on that. Otherwise, you cannot control the cost. So these supply chain visibility, supply chain alignment, cost of product, these are the challenges and importance. Then another challenges and importance is quality of product. Friends, you know, nowadays all the customers, irrespective of the age, irrespective of the gender, irrespective of the local, everything, irrespective of the geographical region also, everyone are much more cautious about the quality. Yes or no? We are also, as we are the customers, we are also cautious about the quality of the product. So organizations forming more partnership and collaboration with the extended suppliers in the global supply chain network for taking the benefit of globalization to the end customers. But in opposite side, now the quality of product has become a big problem for the same companies. In one side, there is a network, there is a suppliers, everything. Day by day, all the global leaders and global organizations, they are extending their network for suppliers, for the different, taking the different benefits. But in the other side, there is a quality. Quality of the product has become a big problem for the same companies. And the challenge is to maintain the highest quality parameter from the same set of suppliers. You may have different suppliers or a lot of suppliers, but the maintaining that quality parameter, it is a challenge now. Next, your challenge is shorter lead time and inventory. Lead time. What is that lead time and inventory? You know, organizations are becoming more dependent on the extended suppliers in today's global supply chain management. Unless and until the suppliers will cooperate, we cannot extend our service. So organizations are becoming more dependent on the extended suppliers in today's global supply chain management. Customers are demanding products in shorter time span. So it is very difficult for the companies to fulfill the desired demands of the customer with the available time and resources. Because the customer will not understand anything. They will demand their products within a certain period, within a short span of time. So it is very difficult for the companies or the producer part to fulfill the desired demands of the customers with that particular available time and resources. So it is the shorter lead time and inventory. It is also another challenges. These are the 5 challenges and importance. What are they? Again, let us recall. One is supply chain visibility. Second is supply chain alignment. Third is cost of the product, quality of the product, shorter lead time and inventory. These are the different challenges and importance for the global supply chain management agencies and global supply chain management organizations. Then comes to supply chain management models. There are so many models have been introduced after the era of or in the era of LPG. So many models are there for the global supply chain management business or for global supply chain business. Different models are there. We can say the number 1 category is the efficient supply chain management model. Efficient supply chain management model. What this model tells about? The productive inventory network is suitable to companies which are described as extremely market competitive with less players competing for a similar combination of clients of those who have not seen having the significant difference at worth proposition. The productive inventory network is suitable to the companies which are described as extremely market competitive. That means with less player competing. That means competitions is very less for a similar combination of clients. Then this model is basically most applicable to which industries and to the industries such as steel and cement. What I told, these industries, this model is basically or mostly applicable to industries like steel and cement that survive in extremely competitive markets with various manufacturers and consumers who might not easily respect their distinct value propositions. So this efficient supply chain management model is basically meant for this type of industries. Second is the fast supply chain management model. The quick store network is the best for those companies producing popular commodities within a smaller span. That is, considering stakeholders' view, the basic difference among competitors worth recommendations is that they should revitalize their portfolios on the basis of recent identified patterns. And this shows competitive nature of the stakeholders in the market on the basis of manufacturing capacity to consistently establish new items sold at a minimum cost. This fast supply chain management basically shows the competitive nature of the stakeholders in the market on the basis of manufacturing capacity, where consistent establish new items sold at a minimum cost. This minimum cost and consistent established, where it is possible, basically these models are applicable For the apparel industries, as fashion trends change very fast. You know, fashion trends are changing very fast or not. So, for an example, smartphones. As technology gets absolutely very fast, you can take the example after introduction of the 5G network, the other models now abolished from the market. So the fast supply chain management model tells about to adapt the different technological region or the different demand from the customers. Already I have given two examples. One is your smartphones, another is your apparel industries. This is linked with the fast supply chain management model, fast FAST. Next model, the continuous flow supply chain management model. The continuous flow supply chain management model. The basic spotlight of this persistent stream store network model is the market interest strength. Firms are planned in such a way that path guarantees consistent rhythm and constant progression of items takes place. The continuous flow model tells it is normally for an exceptionally adult inventory network. It is an exceptionally adult inventory network with a client request profile that has little variety, such as paper industries. You can take the example of paper industry. Basically, the continuous flow supply chain management model we can link with the paper industry to have a better understanding. Because here what happens, these are the client request profile and that has little variety, because you know different varieties are there in this particular models. It is applicable for that particular industries and models. Then let us know what are the responsiveness oriented supply chain model. It is another categories, responsiveness oriented supply chain model. Under this responsiveness oriented supply chain models, there are different models are there. One is the agile supply chain management model. What is this agile supply chain management model? Let us understand and remember what is this agile supply chain management. The price sort of inventory system is valuable for companies that make similar products determined for customer. Similar products. This is regularly found in the variable interest of a business. They use a specially made point, which creates and makes the stakeholders buy in order to refrain the items from having no deals in near future. And basically in this model, the management should focus on procuring the dexterity strengthened by two universal capabilities. What are they? One is overabundance limit and items and procedures intended to create the smallest potential groups. So in this model, we know how it is working in different industries. Second, the custom configured supply chain management model. What is that custom configured supply chain management model? Basically, this specially designed store network model is described by high level importance of expenses for those resources which are all out expenses and increase the completed setups of the products from one stage to another. And here the proceeding designs are booked by a COGS or a persistent renewal model contingent upon the changeability of the interest profile. So item setup and downstream procedures are booked in the wake of accepting the client's organizations, and to guarantee a short request cycle, those procedures are structured with the additional limit accessible. So this custom configured supply chain management model basically tells about these expenses for those resources which are all out expenses and increase the completed setups of the products. And the precedence designs are booked by goods or a persistent renewal model of the contingent upon the changeability of the interest profile. And next is the flexible supply chain management model. There are so many models are there. So among them, the flexible supply chain management model is about the sixth inventory network type. The flexible model is appropriate for certain companies that satisfy unexpected need, and in such a way are confronted with the high and low appeal. And the store network model is described by flexibility, which is the capacity to reconstruct in work process required to meet the stakeholders' requirement. This model generally or ordinarily used by administration companies. Which companies? Administration companies that focus on care of starting situations, maybe in any event including crisis. So basically you can remember the flexible supply chain management model is generally used by the administration companies, which focuses on care of starting situations, maybe in any event, including different crises also. So this was about the different models. Now let us know about the impact of warehousing corporations on the logistics in India. There are different acts are there, different regulations are there. So what is the impact of Warehousing Corporation Act on the logistics in India? There is a Warehousing Corporation Act 1962. What is its impact on the logistics in India? This act come up with the incorporation and regulation of corporations with aims at providing support to warehousing of agricultural products and other commodities and for matters connected with it. This particular Warehousing Corporation Act 1962, remember the Warehousing Corporation Act 1962, it came up with the incorporation and regulation of the corporations with aims of providing support to warehousing of agricultural products and other commodities. The main objectives or the basic objectives of this act are, but one is to issue a warehouse receipt to the depositor that can be used as a negotiable document for transaction with producer, dealer and bank. Second objective, to reduce wastage and shortage losses by establishing the developing and running warehouse on scientific principles. Scientific principles means there must be some logics. Must be some evidence. So to reduce the wastage and storage losses by establishing, developing and running warehouse on the scientific principles. Next objective, to help depositors in marketing the warehoused goods. To help depositors in marketing the warehoused goods. Next objective, to train and develop manpower to manage warehouse built and run on scientific principle. So these are the basic or important objectives of Warehousing Corporation Act 1962. So then Warehousing Act 2007, that is basically development and regulations, Warehousing Development and Regulation Act 2007, what it tells? Major objective or major aim of this Warehousing Development and Regulation Act 2007 is to create provision for the advancement of warehouse and regulations and negotiable of warehouse receipts and establishment of a warehouse development and regulatory authority. This law applies to any person who is registered as a warehouseman with the authority of carrying on the business of warehouse, that is maintaining warehouse for shortage of goods and issuing negotiable warehouse receipts. And this law recognizes a warehouse receipt in electronic form issued by warehouseman or by his duly authorized representatives. See, so this Warehousing Development and Regulation Act 2007 basically focuses on the negotiable of warehouse, receipts and establishment of a warehouse development. And this is also applicable to the registered as a warehouseman with the authority of carrying on the business warehouse. Then also it recognizes the warehouse receipt in electronic form issued by the warehouseman, which is duly authorized representative. Next, there are different acts regulating the logistics industry in India. Logistics, it is a very important part in the supply chain management. So what are the different acts regulates the logistics industry in India? Like other, it has also different acts are there. So one is Motor Vehicle Act 1988. What the Motor Vehicle Act 1988 tells? This Motor Vehicle Act firstly came into force in 1914 with the growth of road traffic. This act was further amended in 1988 and the Motor Vehicles Bill 2017 was passed by the Parliament on 10th April 2017. So in a phased manner, the Motor Vehicle Act comes to exist. First, the act passed in 1988 and firstly came into force in 1914 after the growth of road traffic. Then this act was further amended in 1988 and the Motor Vehicles Amendment Bill was passed in 2017 by the Parliament on 10th April 2017. So in this Motor Vehicle Act, there are different key provisions are there or amendment or bills are there. In the 2017, there are different amendments or bills are there. One is safety of pedestrian and non-motorized transport. Second is safety of children during commuting. Next is stringent punishment for faulty road design, engineering and maintenance. Then it also covers the transparent, centralized and efficient driver's licensing system. Also, it takes into the consideration about the registration of new motor vehicles by the vehicle dealers, etc. There are so many other amendments are there, but some important amendments or bills are like one is safety, pedestrian and non-motorized transport. Second is safety of children during commuting. This act also covers the stringent punishment for faulty road design, engineering and maintenance. Also, it considers or covers the transparent, centralized and efficient driver's licensing system. Also, it covers how to register, how a new motor vehicle will be registered by the vehicle dealers. This Motor Vehicle Act 1988 covers all of these. Then also Motor Vehicles Amendment Act in September 2019, it has been a little bit modified. In 2017, already I have told what are the different amendments or bills passed and what are the different amendments or bills covered by this act. But in Motor Vehicles Amendment Act 2019, the key provisions of this Motor Vehicle Amendment Act September 2019, under which new penalty for the following offences for violation of road regulations were identified. What are the new penalties or for the different offences? One is unauthorized use of vehicles without license. It considers under the Motor Vehicles Amendment Act 2019, it has mentioned a special penalties for those who have unauthorized use of vehicles without license. If anyone have no license, then he or she cannot use the vehicle. It is also passed in the unauthorized use of vehicles without license. Then another things also it covers, that is driving without license. Next, it covers also driving despite disqualification. If you have disqualified due to different reasons, due to unexpertise or due to different legal prohibitions, then also how it will be treated as a new penalty, that also covers in the Motor Vehicles Amendment Act September 2019. Also it covers about the overspeeding. The overspeed, you know, there is a certain speed limit. If you are crossing that limit of speed, then there will be a penalty. It has also mentioned in the Motor Vehicles Amendment Act 2019. Another is drunken driving. You know, drunken driving is also, it is a very one type of provision. Nowadays also it is applicable. So it first considers in 2019 in the Motor Vehicles Amendment Act September 2019. Also it considers and it also covers the penalty will be charged for the drivers who was already drunk. And also another things it has been covered, offences relating to accident. So these are some, apart from these, there are some other bills or amendments are there. These things covered in the Motor Vehicles Amendment Act September 2019. Then the latest amendment to Motor Vehicles Act was done in 2022. Then what is the specialty? Which deals with third-party insurance and claims management, including the filing the claims with Motor Accident Claims Tribunal. So the latest amendment to the Motor Vehicles Act was done in 2022, which deals with third-party insurance and claims management. It covers that third-party insurance and claims management, including the filing of the claims with motor accident claims. And another act is the Carriage by Road Act 2007. This is also another act, Carriage by Road Act 2007. Particularly, this act by definition include about what? Common carriers or transport companies, goods, booking agents, logistics, and provides for their compulsory registration under the Act. That means everything should cover by the Carriage by Road Act 2007. It covers the common carriers, different transport companies, goods booking agents, logistics, and for every categories it is compulsory registration. No one can exclude. Then Carriage by Air Act 1972. Carriage by Air. Carriage by Air Act 1972. It covers the conventions relating to the rights and liabilities of the carriers, consignor, and the consignee. These things, it covers the conventions relating to the rights and liabilities of the carriers, consignor, and consignee. All these things covered by the Carriage by Air Act. If someone is transporting the goods by air, because it is a very important thing and it is a very risky thing. So by looking to these importance and availability, Carriage by Air Act 1972 covers all these things. But the Carriage by Air Act was amended in 2017 also, 16 also, where it promises to increase the compensation to air travelers in case of death, injury, lost baggage, or even inordinate delay in flights. So all these things which was not there in 1972 has been covered in 2016. Basically, in this act covers the travelers in case of death, in case of injury, if someone has lost its baggage, or even inordinate the delay in flights. All these things covered in the Carriage by Air Act, which has been amended in 2016. So after that, the Indian Carriage of Goods by Sea Act 1925, also it is another act. It is relating to basically the marine and the sea. If you are transporting or procuring the goods through the way of sea or by the way of sea, this act also helps. This act came into force on 21st September 1925. By considering the guiding principles of Brussels International Conference on Maritime Law held on October 1923. So here the Multimodal Transportation of Goods MMTG Act 1993, it also by the Multimodal Transportation of Goods Act 1993 MMTG, short form is MMTG, M for multimodal, MM for multimodal, T for transportation, G for goods. Multimodal Transportation of Goods Act 1993, this act with the significant increase of cargo traffic and to cut down the cost by door-to-door delivery, as also speedier movement of goods from one place to other place in India and overseas, the Multimodal Transportation of Goods Act 1993, enacted by the Indian Parliament, came into force from April to 1993 based on the UNCTA DVICC rules, which have gained widespread acceptance. Basically, this act, MMTG Act 1993, it increases due to the cargo traffic and cut down the cost by door-to-door delivery. And this act facilitates the directive guidelines of multimodal transportation of goods from anywhere in India to outside India, involving two or more ways of transport as per the contract of single multimodal transport. So this act is basically meant for the sea. And then another act, Goods and Service Tax, GST Act 2017. The Goods and Service Tax is a very popular, and it is the most commonly everybody, you must have know about this act, GST or Goods and Service Tax Act 2017. The Goods and Service Tax Act 2017, enacted by the Parliament, came into force on the midnight of 30th June 2017. So this Goods and Service Tax Act 2017, enacted by the Parliament, came into force on the midnight of 30th June 2017. And basically the GST is a comprehensive tax levied on manufacture, sale and consumption of goods and services at a national level. It is linked with it is relating to the national level. Through a tax credit mechanism, this tax is collected on the value-added goods and services at each stage of sale or purchase in the supply chain. So after the introduction of GST, it is one of the biggest taxation reforms in India, yes or no? And it is all set to integrate the state economies and boost overall growth. Generally, it is becoming the control by the central government. And the GST, already I have told, it is a biggest reforms in India. Basically in our country, India, it is a biggest reforms. And it is all set to integrate the state economies, the different state economies, and also it boosts the overall growth of the nation. So it is also another act, which is, as you know, in this chapter we are studying different acts, because you know, to control that agencies or the different global supply chain business, we have to know different rules, regulations, principles and acts. Until we will know, we cannot work globally, because you know, in different countries, different laws are there, different rules and regulations are there. So we should have a fundamental idea. Basically the agencies, the intermediaries, they should have a basic idea. They should have a sound knowledge about the different acts. So we are studying different acts about the different like logistics, different ways like Motor Vehicle Act, different Marine Act, then GSTs. These are the different acts. Till now, the different acts which already has been implemented in our country, India, or has been introduced in our country, India, we are studying. It is not possible to cover all these acts, but at least what are the basic, what are the important tasks relating to the global supply chain business, we have to know that. So after this, another act, Environmental Protection Act 1986. Because you know, Environmental Protection Act 1986, enacted by the Parliament of India, that came into force on 23rd May 1986. When? 23rd May 1986. And it is the culmination of the decisions taken at the United Nations Conference on the Human Environment held at Stockholm in June 1972. So Environmental Protection Act takes birth. It creates by or after the decisions taken at the United Nations Conference at Stockholm in June 1972. So the main purpose of this act, Environmental Protection Act 1986, that extends to whole of India, is to protect the quality of environment and preventing, controlling and abating the environment pollutions. You know, day by day the pollution is increasing in a speedy manner. So how to control that pollution? To control all these pollutions, the Environmental Protection Act 1986 introduced. And this act is basically meant for eco-friendly. How to make the environment pollution free and the development will be sustainable. Now you have seen different new concepts arising: green HR, green marketing, green finance, everything. So this is only relating to the environmental protection. Then comes to Consumer Protection Act 2019. Consumer. What is that Consumer Protection Act 2019 tells? The Consumer Protection Act 2019 was introduced to replace the consumer protection. This Consumer Protection Act 1986 to replace the Consumer Protection Act 1986. So Consumer Protection Act 2019 was introduced to replace the Consumer Protection Act 1986. This Consumer Protection Act 2019 contains various provisions which incorporate the challenges faced by modern and technology dependent consumers. Because you know, now all the consumers and customers are technology dependent. They are much more dependent on technologies than others. We can say in a era of 21st century, all the consumers, all the customers, all these organizations are techno-savvy. They are technology oriented. They are technology dependent. So to have a balance, the 2000 Consumer Protection Act 2019 introduced to replace the Protection Act 1986. Day by day, everything is changing. So the act will change. So by this way, the Consumer Protection Act 2019 replaced the Consumer Protection Act 1986. Now let us discuss what are the role of intermediaries in logistics and supply chain management. From the beginning, I am telling the role of intermediaries is very vital in the logistics and supply chain management. Intermediaries are just like a bridge in the global supply chain who connects the buyer and sellers. So intermediaries may be some organizations, some agencies. So it is an organization. Intermediaries are some organizations or maybe an individual who becomes the mediator between various parties to support specific business deals. This also helps the parties to fulfill the obligations and achieve their business goals. And these intermediaries are specialized and professional agencies in a particular part of logistical function. These are not generals, peoples. They are very specialized and professional agencies in a particular part of logistic function. And logistics intermediaries or middlemen who provide the services such as transportation service are not only accountable for the timely spatial movement of consignment but also for further associated operations as well. These logistics intermediaries or middlemen who provide the services such as the transportation service are not only accountable for the timely spatial movement of consignment but also for further associated operations. And basically this category comprise the operators of terminal harbors and ports and airports, ground handlers, warehouses, it may be public, contractual or private, whatever may be, as well as the packaging firms that are professional in export packaging services and carry out the optimum packaging and the necessary preparation of consignment goods in containers before their transportations. So the role of the intermediaries in the logistics and supply chain management is very, very essential and inevitable. It can destroy the entire system, it can boost the entire system. So the role of intermediaries and supply chain basically is in the logistics and supply chain management have a major role. And the last part of this chapter is focused on what are the key recent initiatives of Government of India. What are the different initiatives taken by the Government of India for the logistics and supply chain management? One is about the seaport. We can say relating to the seaport, what are the different initiatives has taken by the Government of India? For the different sectors, for the different medium, for the different channels, the Government of India has taken so many initiatives. But some important initiatives let us discuss. One is about relating to the seaport. In May 2018, the Ministry of Shipping allowed the foreign flagged ships to carry containers for transport. It is one initiative has taken. Also in March 2018, a revised model concession agreement, what is short form is the MCA, Model Concession Agreement, was approved to make port projects more investor friendly. The port projects should be more investor friendly and make the investment climate in the sector more attractive. So, two initiatives already I have told relating to seaport. Another thing, the project NMATI has been started by Government of India to identify the opportunities areas for improvement in the preparation of major ports. So these things, these are some of the basic things, basic initiatives, key initiatives linked with or relating to the seaport has been taken by Government of India. Next is in inland waterways. There are in seaport already we have discussed. Then in inland waterways, what are the different key initiative has taken by the Government of India? One is the Ganga River between Allahabad and Haldia. It is about 1,620 kilometers long. It is navigable up to Patna by mechanized boats and by ordinary boats up to Haridwar also. It is one of the key recent initiatives or key initiatives taken by Government of India in inland waterways. Another thing is the Brahmaputra River between Sadia and Dhoban. It is about 891 kilometers long. It is navigable by steamers up to Dibrugarh and is shared by India and Bangladesh. Another thing is the West Coast Canal in Kerala between Kottapuram and Kollam. It is also almost 205 kilometers long. So these initiatives or key initiative or recent initiatives has taken by government of India, which is relating or coming under inland waterways. First we have discussed what are the initiatives taken for seaports, then what are the initiatives has been taken for the inland waterways. Next also, relating to the road transportation, the National Highways Authority of India was created by an enactment of the Parliament Act, that is National Highways Authority of India Act 1988, to replace the earlier Act, National Highways Act 1956, that empowered the declaration of certain highways as national highways. So one is Metrino parts. The tender process for Metrino driverless pods for Delhi and National Capital Region NCR is underway and an agreement on the same is expected soon. So the Metrino personal rapid transit system has been announced from Delhi Haryana border to Rajiv Chowk and Soma Road as a pilot project. So it is one of the most important initiatives or very recent initiatives has been taken by the government of India. Already from the beginning we have discussed the initiative for seaport, then inland waterways. Now we are discussing what are the key initiatives relating to the road transportations. So in this also then comes to there are different initiatives also has been taken for the highways for aircraft landing. Aircraft landing, the government is not only focuses on sea or waterways, on inland waterways, and also in the road transport also for the aircraft landing also, the government is looking at building highways across the country that can also serve as landing strips or runways for the aircraft, both for civil and military. So now we have covered what are the key recent initiatives by Government of India. One is for the seaport, another is for inland waterways. Then we have covered what are the key recent initiatives for road transport also. Last also we have covered what are the different initiatives has been taken for aircraft landing. So by this way, we have covered how in the global supply chain management, different acts, different agencies, role of different agencies, different logistics, role of logistics, the importance of logistics in supply chain management, and everything we have covered in this unit. I hope all of you have studied this unit and you are able to know how the different agencies will help in the global supply chain management, which will help the companies in a significant cost and time savings while maintaining the highest level of quality and meeting the regulatory requirements. So by this way, we have covered this unit. I hope all of you must have understood this. So thank you all.